Om Shanti, everyone. Om Shanti, as you know now from having been with us for many, many programs, Om Shanti is a greeting of peace. Literally, it's an affirmation, which is, I am a peaceful soul. And it's something that we've tested out many, many times in the practice of Raj Yoga meditation. So greetings to all of you. Lovely to have you with us for tonight's session. And as you may have known, if you received the notice of this evening's program, we're starting a series on the spiritual powers. So in Raj Yoga, the spiritual powers are very much tuned to mindfulness or our use of our thoughts at this particular time in the world history. And so we've invited Angie O'Toole to come and bring this series to you. There'll be 4 Mondays, and we'll go through the 8 powers in real detail and with practical application of them, how you might use them in your day-to-day situation, and how you might use them to create feelings of our aim, which is feelings of peacefulness. Feelings of peacefulness, which is the experience that we all aim for in Raja Yoga meditation. That is, feelings of management of our thoughts and feelings of goodwill in all our relationships with situations and with others. So great to have you with us. We've been with the Brahma Kumaris here at the Peninsula for a long time, and we've come to value her highly as a very special teacher and one who takes us into the experience of Raj Yoga. So this is a program that she has already run, and maybe you've participated in it, and so a reminder does us no harm at all. It's actually very helpful. So good evening once again. Om Shanti, and take us away, Angie.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. So nice to be with you, and I hope you've had a wonderful Monday and such beautiful weather we've had for the last few days really makes you feel like it's like a new time is approaching, that we still in this old world dealing with all the challenges that are emerging, and for each one of us there will be a different set of challenges. So we had the thought for this month of May to present a series, and this series, as Jackie's mentioned, this series is about spiritual powers. There's 8 specific spiritual powers that we know about that we're going to share with you over the next 4 weeks. And really these powers are for use right now, in the time that we're living right now. And when I start to discover them and can apply these spiritual powers, I'll find that they will help me deal with the world, deal with my own issues, and it will help my life become more happy and peaceful, more the life I wish to be living. So to start with, I'd like to pose a question, because we're talking about spiritual power, and you know, this is a familiar word to us. Power is a very familiar word and concept, but when we look at spiritual power, and when we look at the specific powers that we'll be exploring, you could say that each of them has 2 meanings. There'll be a worldly meaning, and often the worldly meaning will have some negative connotation. But then there's a spiritual meaning, and the spiritual meaning is a very elevated one. So as you start to hear these powers and what they are, you might think to yourself, well, yes, I know about that one. I've experienced it, but not perhaps in a good way. So we'll look at the spiritual application of these. But we know this word power, it's a familiar word. And often in the world, in which we live, in the world of politics and economics and perhaps all of the challenges that we see in the world, power has really come to be used in a way that's very harmful. And you could call it force, where power is used in a way that I guess you could say people seek to get whatever it is that they want by forcing their way towards that means, that outcome. And of course, with force, it's never good. Force leads to disturbance and certainly leads to distress for many. When there's force, it's almost a certainty that there will be sorrow for someone, there'll be hurt for someone. So that's not the sort of power that we're referring to when we speak of these spiritual powers. Spiritual power actually comes from the inside. It's like an inner strength. And it helps me, as I mentioned, deal with the challenges that I may face. So the first thing that's really important to be aware of as we go on this journey of exploration that most of you are aware of, but for anybody that might be listening or watching for the first time, the first thing that is so important to understand when we're talking about spiritual power is whose power is it? And it's power within each one of us, but spiritual power is for the spiritual self. And as we know, as we've talked about regularly, as we've just heard in the meditation, that the I that we're referring to, the spiritual self, is either soul, not this physical body, not this physical body, not the image I see in the mirror, not the name I call myself or the job that I do or the roles that I perform, but I, the soul. And I, the soul, am not a physical being. I'm a spiritual being. I'm the light that gives life to this physical body. And that's such an important thing to understand. And I think for most of us that have been tuning in regularly to Brahma Kumaris teachings and Monday night practical meditations and other things that are on offer, there'll be an awareness of this, the self as a soul, as a spiritual being. You know, it's one thing to know it, but it's quite another thing to experience it, to experience myself as a spiritual being, to experience myself as a soul. And it's not so easy, actually, because we're so used to thinking of ourselves as this physical body. That's been the identity that we have and the way that we've considered ourselves for a long, long time. So even when I know that my identity is spirit or soul, actually having the experience, the deep understanding of that does take time. So that's one thing to think about and really consider deeply. And of course, the natural means that will help us get to know ourselves better, of course, is meditation. Because in meditation, very naturally and easily, we're moving our awareness away from the outside world, from the physical world, and we're turning our attention inward to our inner world. And when we do that, it's not a difficult thing for awareness of the body and what's going on around me to drop away. We start to experience our own self. So, all of that said, before we start to explore, I want to ask you a question just to consider, and we'll take a few moments just to consider. So, speaking of spiritual power, which is inner strength, two questions here. What increases your spiritual power? What things increase your spiritual power? And what things reduce your spiritual power? So what things can you think of that increase your spiritual power and what reduces it? So let's just reflect for a couple of moments on this question. And I really would like you to think about that in the context of your own life, the things that you know, and you do know the answers to this. What strengthens what makes your inner strength increase, become more, but what takes it away? So just reflect for a moment, see what you come up with. So these are two very good questions to ponder, and we won't spend too long tonight, but you might find that these are questions you take away after the session finishes tonight and explore more deeply. Wonderful reflection questions, because we need to get to know ourselves as a spiritual being, but we also need to get to know the things that work very well for us and the things that don't. For each one of us, that might be different because we've got our own personalities, our own way of doing things. Each soul has a unique identity and a unique set of personality and character traits. So, and they've been formed over time. So knowing what gives you spiritual power and what takes it away might be very different from what gives the next person power and what takes it away. You know, some of the things that come to mind that give power is the one that I mentioned before, meditation. Meditation will increase our spiritual power. Spending time with like-minded people who are following spiritual practices and have an interest in spirituality will certainly, that sort of company would help increase my spiritual power. Doing actions that are of benefit to me, performing actions that are of benefit to me and help other people, kindness, benevolent actions will certainly give me lots of power. And as has been discussed, particularly over the last couple of weeks, connecting to the Supreme Soul, to this ocean of power, well, I can draw power from that one. So there's many things that will give me power. But what takes my power away? We said about good company, keeping, company of like-minded people who are following a similar path will give us power. And, in a similar way, if I keep the company of people who spend their time in gossiping or negativity, who maybe are very angry or frightened, that will tend to drain me. If I find that I'm spending a lot of time watching the news and, things in all forms of media that speak of the sorrow of the world, that will tend to drain my power. I could go on and on here, but I think you get the gist. And I'm sure for you, you can work this question out. But it is a good one to ask and continue to ask. Is what I'm doing giving me power or taking it away? So let's start this journey of exploration of these 8 spiritual powers. And there's a sequence to these powers that's quite a logical one when you put it all together. So the first of these 8 powers is the power to withdraw. And I mentioned before that with each one of these, they can have a worldly, if you like, application that may seem quite negative, and a higher application or a spiritual application. So the power to withdraw is not running away. It is not isolating myself. It is not hiding or avoiding. The power to face, the power to withdraw is not being a coward. But the power to withdraw in a spiritual sense is the power to be able to still be in the world, but turning my attention away from the world and inward, which, as I'm sure you're aware, is one of the main steps of Raja Yoga meditation. The first step, in fact, to turn my attention inwards. So when I do this, when I use this power, I'm still in the physical world. I may still be in action in the physical world, but my attention and my focus is to my inner world. I become introverted, and I'm using introspection to explore my inner world. But importantly, when I start to experiment with this power, one thing I will find is that I'm less influenced, I'm less affected by what's going on around me in the physical world. Because let's face it, there's just so much negativity all around us now. We all know it. And if I'm in the world and caught up in the negativity, it's going to have an impact on me. I'll find I'm absorbing negative energy. I'll find I'm influenced by negativity. It may be the way people are speaking or acting, or it may be events of the world. I'll find that it drains my power and my inner strength. So with this power to withdraw, I'm able to turn my attention away from all those things that are happening on the outside and turn my attention inward. And of course, once I do this, I'm turning my attention inward, I encounter the first inward thing that exists in me is my thoughts and my feelings. And so what the power to withdraw doesn't do, it's not helping me deal with painful memories or fears of the future. This power is about what's going on in my world right now. So I'm turning my attention inward, and I may find when I do this that there's thoughts going on of things that have happened in the past or concerns about what might happen in the future. This power to withdraw is not about dealing with those things. What I am aiming to do as I turn my attention inward is to calm my thoughts, calm my feelings, and remove focus from those other distractions of thinking about the past or the future, but to go much deeper inside myself. When I'm able to go deep inside, there's a core, if you like, a very powerful core that exists in each one of us. Often we're not so aware of this strength inside us because we don't touch base with it. But with this power to withdraw, I'm able to go deep inside and really get in touch with my qualities that I always have, but sometimes are hard to get in contact with. We call them original, eternal qualities. One is peace. One is happiness. One is love. And another is wisdom. So to be able to touch and connect with these strengths that exist within me in the form of soul qualities is possible when I withdraw and I go deep enough inside. So we all have them, these original, eternal qualities, meaning there are original qualities when we were the best of ourselves. They were in abundance. They influenced how I lived my life. Eternal means they always exist with me, but they do become covered up by the dust of the road, if you like, the negativity we pick up along the way. When I can really connect with this deepest part of myself and get in touch with these qualities that exist within me, I'm able to start to, if you like, emerge them, strengthen them. And with attention, their power starts to grow. And that has the effect of strengthening my inner self. So that once that starts to happen, that process starts to happen, I find my inner strength growing, which means that when I turn my attention back outward, and I'm facing all these situations of the world, be it situations, circumstances, dealing with difficult relationships, I'll find that I'm better equipped to do it. I'm more calm, I'm more stable in myself, and that enables me to be better able to deal with all the things that the world is going to throw at me. But, if I only do this once in a while, if I only withdraw from the world, if I don't move away and turn my attention inward regularly, this power will not develop, and I won't have the strength that I may have to deal with the issues of the world, the negativity of the world that I may face. So it's so necessary to do it on a regular basis. Meditation will help a lot, but also reflection. Meditation's a natural vehicle for this because we are, as I mentioned before, that's what we're doing in meditation. We're moving our attention away from the outside, we're turning it inside. So it will really help us. But there's other things that I can do in addition to meditation to withdraw. Reflection is one where I turn my attention inward and ask myself some questions. For example, I mentioned that one of the original qualities that we have is peace. And I can explore my own inner peace to emerge it, to become familiar with it, to make use of it by asking myself some questions. those questions might be questions like, if I'm a being of peace, what does that mean to me? What is peace in my life? How is my world when I'm in a peaceful state? How would it be if I could strengthen my own peace and that would flow out and touch other people? And there's many questions I can ask myself, but the questions that I might ask, the purpose of them is to explore and get to know these original qualities. Happiness. We're not talking about happiness that we gain from the world, because of course we do get happiness from the world. You know, when we spend time with people we love, when we spend time doing things we love, yes, of course it does make us happy. But the thing with that is that it doesn't make us permanently happy. It will give me happiness for a short time, but then that happiness won't continue. So when we talk about happiness as an original quality, it's happiness that is not lost when the things of the outside world may not be quite as they should be, may not be so great. I don't lose my inner happiness, my inner contentment, if you like, in the face of that. So again, it's such a wonderful question to ask myself, you know, what will increase my internal happiness? How can I hold that happiness for longer? How can I experience it in the face of challenges? And it's not, and this inner happiness, if you like, is like a quiet happiness, an internal happiness that is not always appropriate to express, because if somebody else is suffering, of course, I'm not going to be overjoyed in the face of somebody else's suffering. Of course not. But what I won't be, if I'm really able to develop my inner happiness, is I won't absorb their sorrow. I won't be so affected by their sorrow. And actually, it's such a wonderful thing because it puts me in a much better position to help them. If I'm absorbing their sorrow and sharing their sorrow, it's just making me weaker, and I'm certainly not going to be in a good position to help the other one. So to be able to hold that inner happiness, sense of well-being, if you like, is going to position me very well to be effective in helping other people. So to use the power to withdraw, I need to be willing to spend time. I need to be willing to focus my attention inward. I need to be able to deal with the thoughts that will distract me, that will seek to take me elsewhere. I need to be able, so I need to practice it, and I need to continue to practice it. Using meditation, I can use commentaries, or I can ask myself these questions. But the more I practice it, the more I'll be able to hold that concentration on my internal world and not be so distracted. So the things that will make this difficult is distractions, worldly distractions, my thoughts about what's going on in the world, my thoughts about what I'm doing. A cluttered mind will make this very difficult to hold that concentration. So I need to really clear my mind as much as I can, not be so invested and interested in what's going on around me, because quite frankly, most of it doesn't concern me so much. Most of the things we can be tempted to get very involved in, we don't have to. So asking myself the question, is this any of my business? Do I need to be involved in this thing? And sometimes, yes, we will, but often we don't. So I think it's a very powerful question to ask myself, you know, how important is this external thing to me? Do I really need to be involved with it? And often the answer will be no. And the more time I can simplify my life, turn the attention inward, the more I'm going to strengthen my power, my internal power, which is going to help me a lot in the world. That's pretty much what I wanted to say on the topic. And I'm really keen to open up to questions. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to hear Jackie. I'm hoping I can. So maybe we could start a conversation if anybody has any questions or comments about this topic.
Thank you, Angie. You can hear me. Can you hear me, Angie?
No. So, just while we're getting this
I'll put.
Out,
can you? Or you?
Let's just have a couple of moments of meditation. Sorry. Let's just do this. Let's just withdraw from the outside world and turn our attention inward, just for a few moments. All we're doing is turning our attention inward. We're not so distracted by what's going on around us. We're not so invested in what's going on around us. We're turning our attention away from all of that, turning it within. And as I do so, I firstly notice my thoughts and my feelings. And I ask myself, are my thoughts calm? Are my feelings of calmness? Or are my thoughts and feelings a little turbulent? Because I am the master of myself. I can calm my thoughts. We've been practicing this for a long time now. I can do this. Calm down my thoughts. I can calm my feelings. I've been practicing this for a long time now. My thoughts and feelings become calm. And I'm able to look deeper within myself. Into the deep, quiet space within. Let me just be here for a few moments. Don't need to think. Don't need to feel. So it's good to reflect when we do a little activity like that on how it was. Were you able to calm the thoughts and the feelings, or were thoughts flowing in to distract? The more we practice it, the less distracted we'll be. The more we'll be able to hold concentration and go deeper and deeper and deeper inside. And we really need to dive deep to get the full benefit of the power to withdraw, because at the very heart of our, or core of our being, is the source of our internal strength. We want to connect with that. We want to cultivate it, develop it, release it. So to do that, we need to connect with it. And this is a means to do that.
And in the meantime, I'll ask Angie to unpack the bits and pieces that I've observed during this discussion with you. The 8 powers are so practical, such a practical thing. But what it is really to identify when I would have to use this. So I'm identifying which power will I use at this moment. And so when I'm saying I need the power to withdraw, it's very likely that something that's been decreasing my energy, because power is energy, it's my vibe, as what has been decreasing my energy is an emotional response to a situation. So when I start to get emotional about something, then I'll lose my ability to deal with it in a calm way. So what I'm asking Angie now is, you've been talking about really reacting and responding. And we understand these concepts very well. I'll get back a bit. We understand these concepts very well. When we react to something, we're right into our emotional response. Somebody said something critical, someone whom we've got a lot of respect for has said something critical about us, and whoops, our little heart is pumping and we are drawing from our 6 guns from our hips. But to learn to respond to this situation, this will be the power to withdraw into my peaceful state.
Withdraw into the peaceful state and really check myself, be so aware of my reaction, because if I don't have that self-awareness, I'm not going to be able to take charge. So I think really with this power to withdraw, I need to, it's all about getting to know myself very well. We'll all have triggers. We'll all have different things that'll spark us off. And rather than get lost in the emotion of it, which is often an instant reaction, feels like an instant reaction, that we get so caught up in the emotion. Actually, we can't do anything. We can't think when we're in that state, because we're lost in feelings of hurt or anger or whatever it might be. So we need to be able to take charge of ourselves, and to be able to withdraw in this way means that I have the ability to, if you like, maybe pause that rather than get lost immediately, like a knee-jerk response. I can just take a moment and I can allow a little bit of space before I get lost in the emotion. And if I can do that, then I've got a choice. That do I dive deeper? Do I decide that I'm just going to lose my head and get really angry? Or do I choose a different response? Of course, if I have that power to choose, for those that might have done the course, we would be saying we're using our divine intellect to do that. That we're really emerging power to be able to make a decision that's going to be useful for us. So in that few moments or that instant that I say, yes, I can get angry now or not. And the difference, rather than just automatic response, if I can create that tiny space, then I've got an opportunity for change.
You also have to be a bit clever too on, excuse me, how you might respond verbally, to have the right words to say at that time, because just to withdraw into silence may not be appropriate.
And it can really seem like for the person that you may be dealing with, that's like that with what I was saying earlier, Jackie, about that withdrawing in the wrong way, because that can be like rejecting that person or turning your back on that person is never going to be good. It's only going to create a deep hurt to that person. So this withdrawal, you're still present, you're still there with them, but you are not absorbing negativity. You're not influenced by it, because they're going to do whatever they're going to do. We have no control over that really, but because that's their choice what they do. But I'm not, when I'm powerful in this way, I'm not going to be so affected or influenced by their if they're pushing negativity at me. I have a choice: do I take it or not? But then whatever whatever they're throwing at me, to be able to take charge of my response and not respond in kind. They might be throwing negativity at me, but I can choose to respond in a different way. And that might not be with a whole lot of words, but I can still be present with them. They're not feeling like I've rejected.
Otherwise, you're still engaged with them. So you're engaged in the situation, but you're withdrawn from it. You know, the symbol they used for this one, for this power, is a tortoise. And so it's so visually appropriate, isn't it? The tortoise protects itself by going into its little house, and we protect ourselves by going into that internal compass. My word for tonight, that internal compass inside. Yeah.
And it's such a nice thing, because the compass points the right direction of how we should respond. So and we have that. That's the beauty of the soul, that we have all this quality of wisdom within us. So actually, if we can do it, if we can withdraw well, that we'll be able to access the compass, and the compass is our wisdom. It's going to point us in the right direction, how to respond. Because often I find with the power to withdraw, if I can use it well, it'll give me insights about whatever's going on for the person in front. Of course, you can't read their mind or really know their story, but you can get a sense of what's driving the way they're behaving. And of course, if they're behaving in a hurtful or a negative way, they're not going to be happy inside. That's a given, that they're not going to be happy inside. But it will give me a bit of a better sense of how to respond to them in a way that's going to be useful for them. Does it make some sense?
Oh yeah, that's really kind. That's a kind approach, isn't it? Because it's seldom a stranger that's going to press these buttons, isn't it? It's someone who's familiar to us, even at work or in our interactions at the bank or our family. So we know them well, and we can still, as you say, sort of engage, look at them and engage, but choose how we will. Even choosing it's such a challenge, it seems like. And as you said, meditation and practice on a peaceful state, because that's the first requirement, that I will be peaceful inside, and then I'll be able to respond adequately. So the practice of being a peaceful soul, the being peaceful spiritually, and then once you get a grip on, and you have a choice of all the powers, you can select which power should I be using at the moment.
Absolutely.
But this is the time to withdraw, to nurture my own energy so that I can deal with the situation. Withdraw in order to approach again. Withdraw in order to, what's another word from attack? Withdraw in order to respond to the situation. Yeah.
But we're not surrendering. It's
No.
in that way. We're not we're not giving in to, and we're not being a doormat that we're being walked over when we do this, or bulldozed when we do this. It's such a sensible thing to do, because when they come at, if somebody comes at us with anger or whatever it may be, and we respond, or instantly we've got this conflict going on, that it can't really help but escalate unless somebody's got some sort of coolness in their mind. But if I'm the one that can get in touch with my own peace in that instant, rather than that butting heads and feeling like I have to respond, or I have to react to their anger, because that's two wrongs can't make a right. If they're angry at me and I'm angry back at them, we've just got double anger, isn't it? And it just escalates, and that negative energy will multiply, and it goes somewhere. It affects the atmosphere, it affects us, it affects everything. So if I'm the one who can just get in touch with that inner peace, rather than that instant, jump back at with what they're giving out, then I'm changing the dynamic. And it's, there's this saying, and I really love this saying, is it takes two hands to clap, and one hand just waves, but then it gives up after a while. So if I don't get angry back, they will eventually have to cool down. But of course, I've got to do it in the right way, because if I turn my back, or even don't physically turn my back, but I reject them, then that's only going to inflame whatever emotion is going on for them. So you're right. I've got to stay engaged with them and be able to do that. I can't do that unless I've got that inner strength. I can't do that unless I'm really in touch with the best of my own self. The peace, and the loving feelings. Because you said, Jackie, something that as soon as you said it, it really sparked me. Because the people that know us best and we know best, we know all our faults. We know each other's faults. And we've all got faults, but and weaknesses. But, so often it'll be that that's what we focus on rather than the best of them. And particularly for those ones we know, that saying, familiarity breeds contempt. So that we might find ourselves focusing on that negative thing and amplifying it. But really, when I can get in touch with my own quiet centre, I can see something different in them, see something better in them, and that will help me to respond in a better way, because I'm feeling my own goodness inside myself.
That's the point I wanted to pick up. We really need to respect the power of thought, of thinking. So if I'm facing someone who's just accusing me of something, and I'm engaging with them, so my face hasn't changed, but my thoughts have. My thoughts have become fearful. My thoughts have become disrespectful. My thoughts have become critical in return. I could be saying, oh, yeah, well, it takes one to know one. And it's actually the thoughts that are going to be the power that will inflame the situation or not.
Absolutely. And even though these thoughts can't be seen, they can certainly be felt. And just because they can't be seen, they exist. We know they exist. And they don't just stay inside my head. That energy flows out and touches them. So I might keep a poker face. I might keep an absolutely straight face, but they're getting that energy, and they will get it, and it will impact the situation. So it's to master the thoughts is if we can start to do that, it's an amazing skill. And the more that we can spend quiet time with ourselves, the more we can notice. Because I think one of the things about mastering thoughts is we've got to be aware of them, because so often they'll be habitual, that we've developed over a long period of time. And so we're not even aware that we're thinking that way. And of course, how that in turn brings up negative emotion. But when I can see them, then I can do something about them.
And this is really the point and the power of meditation, because in my meditation practice, I'm practicing thinking peaceful thoughts, and I'm observing the effect they have on me. I think peaceful thoughts and I feel peaceful thoughts, and that's the experience, and experience is powerful, of course. So when I'm in a situation of conflict, as you said, Angie, then I'm able to emerge that remembrance of how I felt peaceful when I said I'm a peaceful soul. As soon as I use that affirmation, I feel peaceful. Let me use it right now.
Do you know, I had a situation yesterday where it wasn't a conflict situation, but it was a situation where I felt unseated. So it wasn't actually to do with anybody else, but it was to do with how I was feeling. I was so affected by a few things that were going on. I lost my inner peace, and I could really feel myself losing it, and had the sense just to remove myself for, it was probably 5-10 minutes, to remove myself and just go and sit quietly and just allow some time for these turbulent feelings to settle down. It was just like a surge of emotion, really, a surge of just being a little bit maybe overwhelmed. But it passed really quickly, because I was doing exactly what you just said. I was calming myself down on the inside, and very quickly, it didn't take long at all. That I became calm. I became calm on the inside. I was calm on the outside, and it was behind me, and I was able to keep going, no problem. And in fact, got a nice surge of energy, and actually I came out of it feeling quite strong, because I'd spent time inside. It doesn't have to take too long, but it can make such a difference, just taking those few moments to input.
But in that situation, Angie, because you became aware, you then used the appropriate thoughts to, in awareness, that's what you do. Oh my goodness, I'm really agitated at the moment. Let me get out of this situation. I'll take a little while. And you could have done it in your thoughts and still been in the situation, I guess.
Yes.
But it's the fact that you change your whole thoughts and observe, wow, look at me, I've just lost it for this moment. Now I'm a peaceful soul. Let me get back to this is what we refer to as going inside.
And you're right, like I did physically remove myself because the opportunity presented to do that. But equally, yes, you can be still in the front of the person, or still in the situation, and to be able, and it really does take practice to be able to do it, because situations come to test us, to shake us up. And so every time I can just take a step in the right direction with this, it makes me stronger. And next time I'm going to be able to do it more readily. I'll have an increased awareness, and my skill will improve. So I will be better equipped next time. The more I'm doing it, the more I'm experimenting.
And all that is referring to our experience, because whatever we've experienced in past situations is what will guide us through new situations. But what we need to do, we offer in meditation, is create situations to get that experience. So all we do is sit in meditation, and it can only be for a few moments. It doesn't have to be for a long time. I'm a peaceful soul. Do I feel peaceful? Wow, I do. And that's an experience, and that's a power, and that's an energy that is amazing. I wanted to ask you, Angie, what would you call a benevolent action?
I really like this word benevolent, because it's such a benevolent word.
Yes.
So a benevolent action, to define, perhaps to say it's one that is good for me, that it's one that is beneficial for me. So it's helpful for me. It doesn't detract from me in any way. But not only that, the other side of a benevolent action, it will be good for me, but it will be good for everybody else as well. So I win, they win. It's not like I win, they lose. It's we all benefit from it. So benevolence is like a 360. That it's good for me, good for them, good for the atmosphere, good for the environment, good for the world. It's all round. It's got a positive outcome for everyone, everything involved.
Good on you. And a lot in Brahma Kumaris, you talk about an action which is elevated. And elevated is a kind of word we don't use that much, but it means high. So it's a high energy action. So benevolence would be a high energy action?
Absolutely. And when we think of high energy, like the energy we're talking about is the higher this energy, or sometimes it'll be referred to as like a frequency, and relating to it really relates to consciousness. So the higher this energy goes that we speak of, the more influential it is. So it goes up and it becomes more powerful. So the more we can raise this vibration or this energy, the more impact it will have. So positive energy, a very far-reaching impact. Negative energies also has an impact, but the positive energy will be exponentially more far-reaching, touch more people, have greater impact.
And that's why you're encouraging the use of those positive qualities, because our experience in Brahma Kumaris is that those positive qualities are the real natural, they're the natural way to be, actually. And that's why they become powerful. And so when I say I'm a peaceful soul, we're actually linking to a deep wish, a deep desire to be peaceful. It's something I want. And so as I keep reinforcing it, it becomes powerful, yes.
And it's, when we speak of these original qualities, because they always exist in us, actually there's every time we touch base, it's like we're emerging a memory. That it's like it's imprinted on the soul. It's not like it's something we need to acquire. They are there. So it's emerging them. And so, it's like, something that almost like sometimes you dream of something, or you get a touch, you get a bit of an inkling of something that's hard to put your finger on. But the more I explore these, the more they'll become present in my life, and they'll help to guide the way my life is. So as you say, peace, to live in a state of peace is an incredibly powerful thing, particularly as the world's in more and more upheaval, because, peacelessness is all around us. And, it's so easy to be affected by that peacelessness, but to be able to hold, like speaking of benevolent action, to be able to hold a peaceful state, which is my internal bit, the state, my stage or my state, how I am, will impact on what I do, how other people see me, react to me, and that energy is going somewhere. So it doesn't just stay in, it goes, it flows out, and it's touching many things. So it's really, it's a benevolent action for the world, just me being peaceful.
That's really interesting, because you referred to frequencies. And if it's going out, it can also be coming in. So there's a flow. And I was thinking about when you have that elevated thought, I am a peaceful soul, and being a peaceful soul is relating to the natural way of being. So it's elevated, it's a high quality energy. And then you're in a world which is in very low quality energy at the moment, and negative energy, then you're less likely to get influenced. You're more likely to influence it because your frequency is at a higher level.
That's it. And go, and yes, and touching many in a way, you know, I often think about drops, you know, a drop of peace. If I can just give someone a drop of peace, that can make a difference in their life. It, you know, often we want to change the world, but how do we change the world? One drop at a time. So, you know, if I'm having a moment of being in peace, that's going to have an impact. So we don't have to sit and meditate for hours and hours and hours, or, you know, try to do positive actions, you know, in a way that's not sustainable. It's just these moments, but many of them. So every moment that I am experiencing peace, expressing peace, is a drop. It's a gift for the world.
That's it, isn't it? That's really the bottom line. If I am in a peaceful state, I will affect everything else. I don't have to give peace to anyone. I just have to be in peace myself.
Because actually, they've got it too. It's
Yes.
not that I've got it and they haven't got it. We've all got it. These original qualities, these, if you like, eternal qualities that always are with us, everybody's got them. And so if I'm in that really elevated state and then I'm putting that out, it's going to connect with for them. It's going to, you know, you do it enough, it's going to touch something in them that's going to start emerging in them. And what greater gift can you give but that they get their own realization of peace?
Yeah, all I have to do is be practicing to be peaceful myself, and you've been giving us a very good experience tonight of being able to withdraw internally, create my feeling of peace, and decide how I'm going to respond. So, do you want to take us into that experience with a little meditation? And I'll get out of the way. Oh no, I can't, can I?
Well, we can do it together.
All right. I'll sit. Oh yes, I can. Oh no, that would turn both of us off, will it? Okay. Over to you, Angie.
So I take a moment to just settle in the chair. I check my body. I check my breath. I've been doing this for a while. I've been meditating for a while now. And so I know what to do. I know how to relax my body. I know how to slow my breath. Let me do both those things now. It's easy. And as my body relaxes and my breath becomes deeper and slower, I'm able to turn my attention away from the outside world and turn my attention inward to my inner world. Inside of me is a whole world to explore. Wonderful treasures exist within me. I check my thoughts and my feelings now. And because I've been doing this for a while, I've been turning my attention inside for a while, it's easier for me now to recognize the way I'm thinking and the way I'm feeling. And it's easier for me to take charge of my thoughts and my feelings if I find they're a little turbulent. And I can create one positive and powerful thought. I am a peaceful soul. I think this thought. I think this thought slowly, deeply, and richly. And I feel the power of this thought flowing through me. My thoughts are focused and calm. I am focused and calm. And I'm able to turn my attention even further within. And it's like there's a tunnel that takes me deeper, a tunnel filled with light. Absolutely safe. And I allow myself to move down this tunnel of light. And I emerge at the end of the tunnel in a place filled with light. This is the very core of my being. I am a being of light. Within me is a space of light. And here is the place where I can really connect with the qualities, the original qualities that belong to me. And of these, peace is my nature. My own peace is always with me, just waiting to be rediscovered. I allow myself now to quietly experience this place within myself, a place of peace. My peace is incredibly powerful. The more I'm in contact with this part of myself, the more my inner strength grows. And as my inner strength grows, I become more internally strong, better able to withstand negativity, influence, and pain. I'm better able to deal with situations, relationships, and all the challenges that the world may throw at me. My peace is like my armor on the inside. It doesn't shut anyone out, but protects me. Whilst helping them I take a few more moments now just to be in my own peace. And as I prepare to return my attention to the physical, I visualize the tunnel of light. And as I move my attention back to the outside world, I'm able to bring this peace with me, bring it into action, bring it into my thoughts. Let it flow so that others experience just a drop of peace that will make a difference in their lives. And the more I spend time withdrawing my attention from the outside world and spending time within myself, the more my peace will grow, the more benefit for me and for all. Om Shanti.